in June, I had taken a team to Benin, and I asked our country director, what do you want from this team? And he said, evangelism. People are just hungry for Jesus, just evangelism. So we did a meeting, a community meeting, 4 community meetings. We're in 4 anti-trafficking village areas. And that meeting, we had about 150 people show up that we just invite the whole community to come. And of course, we give food as an incentive. So we say, come get a free meal and hear the Westerners talk, So we had 150 people show up at each of these 4 village areas. So it was beautiful, prayed for people, different team members gave their testimonies, and we had maybe 20 or so people per meeting come to Jesus, and then only a few people would come forward for prayer. But then I took a team in August, and in August we had the same 4 meetings, and what was shocking is hundreds of people showed up. And it was like, oh my gosh, where did all these people come from? And we don't have enough food to feed them all. And, it was just kind of like, I just was like, this is incredible. So I asked our staff, I said, why are so many people at these meetings now? And only 150 people showed up at the one in June. And they said, well, it's because God did all of these healings in people that you prayed for. And people were really touched by Jesus. And they told all their neighbors. And when you guys came back, they were like, we're not missing out. So all these people came extra, and there was one meeting in particular where we didn't do a head count. We just know we had 500 chairs there, and then there were people on the outskirts of those chairs. And it was a few days later that I literally said to my country director, how did we feed everybody there? And he goes, oh, I haven't told you about this one. And he goes, yeah, our cooks were a little panicked because we didn't have enough food for everybody. He said, but we prayed, and we asked God to just multiply the food. And he says, Rebecca, the food never ran out. Yeah. So. He said, it was a biblical miracle that happened. He said, we literally had leftovers, and we were telling people to come back for seconds. He goes, the food never ran out. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And I felt like God was whispering as he said, oh, I haven't told you about this one yet. I felt like the Lord was whispering, I haven't even told you what God actually did at this one. Now, what he did do, what I did see visually, is at that particular meeting, every single person, when it was time for the salvation part, the pastor who gave the salvation message and then the call to come to Jesus, he literally just said, if you want to come to Jesus, just stay in your seat and raise your arms up to Jesus. Because if they come forward, we realized that they don't want the people who are entrenched in voodoo and witchcraft to know that they've come forward and accepted Jesus. And so out of fear, they won't come forward. So we thought, well, let's just change this up. Let's just have them ask Jesus into their heart from their seat. And so the pastor said, whoever wants to come to Jesus, just raise your arms where you're at and repeat after me. Every single person raised their arms to Jesus and repeated after him. Now, this is hundreds of people. And then the pastor's wife, I knew she had a healing ministry at their church. And I said, Sharon, can you come forward and just do what you do in your church individually? Do it corporately with this renouncing, the voodoo and witchcraft and anything that they've been, placed assignments on people or curses on people or have done sacrifices, that all that would be broken in Jesus' name. And she's like, oh, I've never done that corporately, but yes, I'll do it. So she comes forward and she just said, whoever wants to be completely set free, raise your arms to Jesus, and I'm going to lead you in another prayer. And every single person raised their arms to Jesus, including the chief of the village, who, And I literally felt like I was watching a movie, and I stood back, and I was like, what is happening? This is so crazy cool. And tears were dripping down my eyes as I just felt the presence of God so strong. And the country director, who's a national there, he says, Rebecca, we have to start a church here next week. And I go, yep, you do. Start a church. So literally 4 churches in these 4 anti-trafficking village areas have started in the last 6 months because of how many people are coming to Jesus. And I literally say the heavens have opened. God is doing what I haven't seen in 17 years do. And, I'm hearing pockets of people saying these same type testimonies in other parts of the world. This is what we don't see on the news. You don't hear these stories on the news, but God is on the move. And so many people are coming to Jesus, renouncing their voodoo and witchcraft, and literally deciding from here on out, we're raising our family for Jesus, no matter what the consequences. And I asked my country director, I said, what are the consequences to some of these family members coming to Jesus? And he said, some of them will be killed. These people who are entrenched in the voodoo and witchcraft don't want people in their family to come to Jesus because it messes with their powers and it diminishes their powers, and some of them will be killed over this. But he said, but it's not deterring them at all. They're coming to Jesus in droves. So I say that to tell you that keep praying for Orphan Relief and Rescue and these kids and families that we're working with, and especially our staff. Roland is, I know you already shared about him, but he did represent a huge influx of special care that he would, regularly do these updates, want us to give updates. And if we didn't give him, he would call and say, what's going on? Can you tell me what's, the details so that we can do an update? We're praying every month. And I am here to say, as a missionary, of you guys, you all do missions well. You take care of us. You literally pray, and you care about the details of what's going on in our lives. And Roland was that touch-base person that always went the extra mile as well for a phone call to see what else they could pray for or do. Or, all of you, just have been a huge, huge blessing to Orphan Relief and Rescue, and all my staff know that they have people praying in this church. And so whenever, there's any health issues or anything weird going on with the voodoo and witchcraft, which is regularly, I know that you all are praying, and you have an amazing pastor and his wife, which I know you know that, and a mission committee. And I just want to thank all of you who have such incredible big hearts. God is so proud of you, and what God is doing is, like I said, opening the heavens. And what it encourages me here in America is he wants to open the heavens over each of our lives here in America as well. And if you haven't seen it yet, pray literally that God would open the heavens over your families and over your lives.